What's going on, YouTube world? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Dusty, and as always, this is the Shred Academy. Mountain biking is filled with varied conditions, but there's a certain condition that at some point through the year, we all have to deal with, and that's brown ice on the trails, or leaf-covered trails. They can pose a number of obstacles for us, like not being able to see rocky terrain coming up, not being able to see the trail, and the biggest one is loose traction through the turns. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is 2 skills that you can focus on to make sure you keep the rubber side down while cornering on brown ice. Now, as per usual, I always say keep looking ahead. Don't look at your front tire. So that's not one of the 2 skills to focus on. We're going to talk about braking and body bike separation. The first thing that we're going to talk about is braking points. When it's perfect conditions, you can wait a little long to brake before entering a corner. But with slippery terrain, and especially brown ice, you're going to want to move your braking points back a little bit. And we're also going to want to adjust our modulation on our brakes. So first, let's break that down.
Braking points are essentially the section of trail where you choose to do the majority of your braking for either a corner or a feature. But in this case, we are talking about braking points for corners. Under normal circumstances in dry, non-leafy conditions, I may choose to do no braking in any of this section of trail here and leave all my braking for this section of trail right here that comes after these 2 little S-turns. In this situation, instead of doing all my heavy braking in this bit before I lean the bike over, I choose to get some braking done here and add 2 braking points. You can see here my fingers are straight, covering the brake levers but not pulling them. As we go forward, we can watch my rear brake here start to pull slightly, and then a couple brake pulls of the front brake lever. Another one right there. Did anyone else catch that? If you see, you can see my fingertips. Let's back up slowly. Okay, right here, you can see me slightly covering that rear brake. So I'm slightly modulating that rear brake. And then as I come around, you'll notice a small brake tap there, a brake tap there, and a brake tap there of the front brake. Very light, because the front brake has the most brake power, but it also is the brake that can do us the most harm. If I were to wait to do all my braking till right here, which would have to be much more firm and forceful than if I were to lightly brake back here, and then right here, and then maybe a light brake right here. If I wait till right here, I have to brake hard, and my weight, since I'm going to be braking hard, is going to be going forward over the fork, putting a lot more pressure on that front tire, which always isn't a good thing, especially in slippery terrain. As we go forward here, you can see that my finger is pulling on that brake, and as I continue through the corner and start to lean the bike over and slightly steer, right there you see the front tire wash out. It doesn't matter that I'm doing some counterbalancing with my hips, and it doesn't matter that I'm looking through the corner with my head, because I was too hard on that front brake and leaned and steered too much. That bike comes out from underneath of me. Luckily, I saved myself. No Dusties were harmed in the filming of this fall. When you apply a heavy front brake while trying to corner on slippery terrain, that front wheel can stop tracking the direction that you're kind of leaning and pointing it, and it can just take its force and keep going straight because you've got so much weight on top of it also going downhill. So here, that's exactly what happens. As I lean the bike over and try to engage those cornering knobs, which are just the row of knobs on the outside of the tire on either side, there isn't enough traction for it to actually keep linking up while braking. Instead, it breaks loose and starts to slide forward. This can all be prevented by adding or extending your braking point and choosing to modulate your brakes a little different. Now you might ask, what brake are you pulling and how hard? Well, the front brake is always your strongest brake, but the rear brake can offer some constant braking power to slow you down consistently over a long period of time without putting you over the front of your bike, causing unnecessary weight issues over that front wheel. Now, what do I mean by brake modulation? Brake modulation is simple and can be broken down into two categories: modulating your power between front and rear brake, and then the power modulation in each brake, how hard you're pulling the lever to apply a certain amount of force to your brake pads. Some brakes, like Magura, offer a lot of modulation, meaning you can pull the brake lever a little bit and get a little braking power, or you can pull it firmly and receive a lot of braking power. Some brakes, like Shimano, are much more on and off rather than on and getting harder as you pull further. And other brakes, like Avid, may have some modulation, but not the same power as a Magura or Shimano, which have different modulations from each other. When modulating your brakes over a longer distance, you can apply lighter pressure over longer distances because you don't need to stop or slow down as rapidly. This will allow for more traction in slipperier conditions.
Now that we know where to brake, how hard to brake, let's talk about the second most important thing on dry, loose, leafy corners, and that's going to be body position and focusing on body bike separation so that you can be putting weight down into your cornering knobs. Now, with a berm in dusty and, I don't know, brown icy conditions, you can trust the backing of the berm that you'll slide into that. But with flat corners like this littered everywhere, because you can't have a berm everywhere, you need to have good traction and lean the bike over and put your body in a really advantageous position to put grip to those cornering knobs. So let's break that down.
Besides adding or extending braking points, making sure you have good body bike separation so you have ample body weight pressure on your cornering knobs is key. Here you can see as I come to this slight rider's left hand turn, we'll call it, you can see me set my hips to the outside, point my belly button and my knees to where I'm going to go. My head's looking, and as I lean the bike over, I keep my weight pressing down over top of the bike. I don't over lean with the bike. I separate the body and the bike so my bike can lean separately from the body. Right here, you can definitely see my hips pointing uphill and my knees as well. My shoulders are pointing uphill as well. And finally, my eyes are looking where I'm going, not at what's right in front of my tire. I've already seen that all the way back here. We can see this body bike separation even further as we come into this extended turn. As I lean the bike over, my hips set to the outside of the bike. And as I lean the bike over, keeping my body weight centered over top of the bike is going to help engage these cornering knobs on the outside of my tires. I'll even say on the inside of the tire at this current state. And that's going to help me keep traction through the corner as my bike is rolling quickly. Here you can see that I'm leaning the bike over, keeping my waist turned, pointing my belly button. My knee is out just slightly, and that's because I'm trying to point it to where I want to go. I'm not letting it moto knee and come all the way out. Remember, you don't have a throttle to pick you back up again if you start to lean over too far. We can get a better idea of the different angles between my body and bike with this model here. We can see that my chest is more or less angled like this, but the bike, if we go with the stem, is angled definitely a little farther over. Just this slight bit of weight placement on top of the bike offers an extreme amount of traction, especially in these slippery conditions. Body bike separation can be the key between cruising around corners and laying on the ground.
Well, everybody, that's going to do it for our tips for better cornering in brown ice conditions. I hope that you took something away from the video. If you did, make sure to leave a comment. Let me know that you're liking the content. As well, make sure that you share with your friends and you subscribe yourself. The next thing you can do is become a Patreon. We're trying to get a 2% Patreon following of our 6.5K subscribers. That's only 2%, 150 people. $5 a month is only 37 cents a day. The next thing you can do is just leave me a PayPal tip. Everything you guys send just goes to pay the bills. And honestly, right now, there's no gas in the van. We're trying to get back south so we can continue creating content for the winter, the Brevard area. But right now, we have $0 for gas. So if you'd like to help us out, don't buy us a beer. Buy us a couple gallons of gas. You can do that through my Venmo or my PayPal. But until the next time, guys, make sure that you ride hard, ride safe, be kind to everybody. If you see me on the trails, make sure to say hello. If we can't grab a lap, let's at least shoot the crap for a little bit and talk about your riding and why you chose mountain biking. All right, that's it. That's all I have. Go ride. Sit. Go. All right, I'm gonna go.